One thing I would say from my experience, feedback forms, not so much. Face-to-face discussions are a much better way to go about getting feedback when you want to ask deaf people how they felt about an event, whether that's with an interpreter or not. But when you send out feedback forms, it's based on English and you're writing answers, versus if you have someone face-to-face and they're able to express in American Sign Language in their own language, it goes much better, and people are, from the deaf community, are much more comfortable. We recently had an international film festival here in Toronto, and at the end there was a survey sent out, and it was in English. And there were so many deaf in the audience, but they were from, all around the world. There were deaf people from Europe and from various places in Canada and the States. And so in terms of accessibility, English wasn't accessible for them coming from other countries, much less having American Sign Language as a first language. There were people on site who were volunteers, and so they were approached. And many deaf people told them that the feedback forms weren't understood, and they were asked, could you sign these feedback forms to me? In which case that was done, and they were able to access the questions in a signed language, in a visual language. I actually approached the director and I had said, could I sign some feedback to you? I have some ideas. And the response was, do you mind just getting it down on paper or getting it down, in text and getting it to me? And I at that point, I sort of felt like the idea that expression for deaf people in terms of comfort and first language is American Sign Language, it wasn't really being thought of. Having to work through English and, is the grammar right? Is the structure right? Does that actually make the point that I wanted to make in this other language? It's really stressful, and it becomes a barrier. So you end up feeling it's too demanding when you get to that point where you have this feedback and you feel it's really, really important and you have some really good ideas, but you don't feel comfortable putting it in that other language. So first language, native language is always best. So in terms of the deaf community, that would be face-to-face in sign language.